this is one of the first heavyweight fights on the card. Scratch that. It is the first heavyweight fight on the card. We have Monstro, Philipe Lins, the winner of PFL's first heavyweight season, tournament champion, $1 million winner, a man who trains at American Top Team, taking on Bonneville's own Tanner the Bulldozer Boser. And it's a really interesting fight, Matt, because for Philipe Lins, I've got a tire gauge here. I pumped his tires heavy before the fight against Andrei Arlovski. I mean, Lins over in the PFL looked amazing. Big win over Alex Nicholson. I mean, big win over the Cuddle Bear, Josh Copeland, Jared Rosholt. And then again, we're talking about that Cuddle Bear win where he was able to win the $1 million. So he comes into the UFC. He's fighting a former teammate, Andrei Arlovski. We can draw some Boser and Arlovski comparisons, and we will moving forward. Philipe Lins looked like a bag of milk. And I mean, it's easy for me to say that from here. But Philipe Lins did not look ready for that fight.
He looked like he just woke up for a nap and wasn't all there yet. Like he was still a little groggy. He just never really got out of first gear.
And for Tanner Boser on the other side, like this is a guy so far in his UFC career. All right, so he fought Daniel Spitz. That's not a really good gauge. He fights Cyril Gane, and it was halfway competitive. I mean, Gane got the win. But to me, and I know there's a lot of people out there that agree, Gane looks like tomorrow he could be a future title challenger. He's on a huge upward trajectory. But for Tanner Boser, this is a guy that fought, whether it was with ACB, whether it was with M1 Global, he was fighting some of the best heavyweights outside of the UFC. Yeah. And we can go down through the list and we can pick out some of those interesting wins. But it's really styles that make fights. And this is one of those ones where you know you're going to get two strikers. They're going to duke it out. It's just a fact for me that Tanner Boser is probably going to lead the dance. And the fact that his power is half decent. You don't see him winning a ton of fights by knockout, but it's the volume that really does it for me with Tanner Boser.
I agree. It's just kind of this constant pressure that Boser brings to the table. And again, against a guy like Cyril Gane, who's just such a physical freak, he can, take the fight to the ground. You don't really want to strike him because he is such a big, powerful athlete. Boser isn't going to have that problem in this fight because we saw with Lins against Arlovski. Arlovski's chin is glass on the best of days. I know he hasn't been knocked out as of late. He just really hasn't been fighting, the highest level of competition as of late. Lins didn't look good at all. He looked terrible. He just couldn't really keep up with the pressure that Arlovski was bringing to him the whole time. And Arlovski, we know, especially at this stage in his career, more of a volume guy than a power guy. And I think Tanner Boser at least has the skills to follow the same game plan that Arlovski did. And I think he's got a way better chin too. So if Lins is able to kind of crack him with a big counter, I don't think Boser's going to go away. I don't think that's going to discourage him from, sticking to the game plan. Really stay up in Lins' face, pressure. And that's going to be the key to this fight.
Two other good things about Tanner Boser, if you didn't figure where I'm going with this one. The fact that he can keep his head back and he throws a nice right kick that'll land to the legs of his opponents. He's really going to be able to chop down Philipe Lins. This is where it gets really interesting, and if you want to call us out, go ahead. The odds are basically par right now, and over on Tapology, out of 760 votes, 69% are going with Philipe Lins, and 48% are predicting a knockout. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tanner Boser is going to win a decision here. Again, you could say, well, Philipe Lins maybe turns back the clock to 2018. All right, well then let's go back even further. Let's go back to the Bellator days when he was down a weight class and Vadim Nemkov finished him.
Vadim Nemkov's pretty good.
It's really tough to try and tell what you're going to get out of Philipe Lins. If this was 110% Lins, I'd say Lins all day. But from what I saw, and it was fairly recently, it was this spring, Philipe Lins did not look like the Lins of old. I'm done saying Philipe Lins. I think Tanner Boser's going to get the win. What do you think here?
So I'm leaning towards Boser, but with Lins, we could see, and to bring up Vitaly Minakov again, Minakov came to Bellator, looked terrible in his first fight, and then ever since has looked really, really good. It could just be a case of kind of getting those octagon jitters kind of out of you.
And that's a good point because for Lins, and to his credit, he was supposed to come back in the PFL second season later on because he had an injury. Wasn't able to due to that injury, comes into the UFC and fights Andrei Arlovski. And it's tough to have a good fight against Arlovski unless you knock him out quick.
Oh, 100%. So I think we will see a better Lins than we did in the Arlovski fight. Because I don't really think we can see a worse version. But I do think we're going to see improvements out of both guys, especially from Boser. Boser, everyone remembers, you're only as good as your last fight in a lot of people's minds. And against Cyril Gane, not a lot of people look good against him. So I think Boser, we're going to see this new and improved Tanner Boser, and I think he'll be able to get done. I agree with you by decision. I know we have to have a different pick at some point, but I agree with you up to this point. Tanner Boser should be able to get it done.
Matt, this is a really interesting card. Another fight that's going to fly under the radar because you've got a couple of unranked heavyweights, and who knows what's going to happen. You're not going to want to miss the rest of our predictions for the card. An extended look at Dan Hooker and Dustin Poirier. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. And as we always say, let's get into it.